Our our third award winner is in the category of community service groups, and this year's winner is the Coles Care Program. And I don't know if Tiffany from Coles is here, all the way in the back. Tiffany's going to come down here. They're having a district manager visit the store today, so I think Tiffany was probably glad to get out of the store for a little while. Coles Care Program is organized by obviously the Coles store and provides volunteer assistance for special events along with financial contributions as well. Employees from the Medford store have volunteered over the past year for Breakfast with Santa, Halloween at the Santo, Arbor Day celebration, and several cemetery cleanup days. We really would like to thank Coles because it's great when we have a special event. We give them a call or they give us a call and they come out with their Coles Care shirt. And they are probably one of the best volunteer groups that we have for us because they just come in and they just ask what they can do, and they do and do and do. So thank you to Tiffany and Coles. Our fourth and final award is in the individual category, but this time we're going to call it a family category. I'd like to bring up Lane and Renee Forncroke to the podium, please. Lane and Renee have contributed over 700 hours of volunteer labor at the Eastwood Cemetery. They, along with other individuals and groups, completed trimming of bushes and trees, raking and pruning, cleanup of trash, and various other monument cleanups. It is truly a labor of love for them and their contributions in preserving the history of Medford and the Rogue Valley that is contained within this wonderful facility. It's been greatly appreciated by our department and the cemetery. Thank you, Lane and Renee, for your contributions. Thank you for your time.
Well, thanks everybody for all your time and effort on behalf of Medford Parks and Recreation Department, but also the citizens of Medford. We really appreciate all that you've done. And when we get a volunteer, you know, you're pretty well stuck. So I'm sure we'll be having you come back. So thanks very much. Really appreciate all the effort on behalf of our fine city. Thank you. At this point, we'll have oral requests and communications from the audience. Anybody wishing to address the City Council, please come on up. If you haven't signed in over at the recorder's station, you can do that afterwards. And then please introduce yourself at the podium.
My name's Emily Mostu, and I live at 612 Pierce Road in Medford. And with me here today is my sister, Karen Allen, and my son, David Mostu. We're all part of the Carpenter family, and we have owned a farm on Hillcrest Road since 1909. In fact, it's just been designated by the state of Oregon as a Century Family Farm, so we're very pleased about that. We're here today to ask you to amend the city code so that we can establish and operate a farm stand tasting room on our property. A tasting room farm stand would allow us to sell our farm products direct to the public, and it would improve the economic viability of the farm. Much of the farm is under the city designation of exclusive agricultural overlay, which allows agricultural buildings, but does not allow buildings which are open to the public. We would like a provision to be added to the code, which would allow buildings to be open to the public and as a farm stand tasting room in the exclusive ag overlay. This would allow us to market and prepare and sell direct to the public our farm products and farm products from the local agricultural area. We are also requesting that there be some flexibility in the city standards so that we can maintain a rural characteristic in both our sales and events on the farm. We really feel that this is a win-win situation for both the city and for ourselves. The change in the code would be in keeping with the locally produced food that is of current great interest, and it would also help Medford to develop as a center for food and wine industry, which has been proposed last November by Mark Rivers, who was a consultant in the Commons redevelopment project. In order to help this process, we have drafted proposed language for the change in the exclusive agricultural overlay section. And our proposed language we have adapted from Oregon state laws relating to wineries and farm stands in exclusive farm use zones. We respectfully request that the city consider modifying the city code to allow for farm stands, tasting rooms, and we request that the city expedite this process so that we can begin operating the farm stand tasting room as soon as possible. We have provided copies to all of you with greater detail of our proposal and the language, and we'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you very much. Mr. Strasser.
Just simply make a motion to direct staff, bring forward recommendations on the modification of our codes to reflect farm stand tasting rooms, and with some emphasis on the issue of city standards. And there's a draft provided, so if they could take a look at that and bring forward the recommendations to us.
Second.
Oh, I think it was sort of a unanimous second. I'm not sure who got there first, but I'll let the city recorder pick a second. So, council discussion.
Your Honor?
Yes, please, Mr. Densmore.
I'm very excited to see this proposal. I was wondering, do you think there are other situations in the city that might also qualify?
You know, I don't know. My understanding is right now we are the only piece of property in the city that has the exclusive agricultural overlay designation. So I would assume in the future there may be others that will have that designation and may want to access this opportunity.
Thank you.
Mr. Michaels?
Question for Mr. Huddle. Is this something that would qualify under a variance?
I wouldn't answer that on the spot, not having had a chance to look at it. So I could bring that back to
Okay.
the council.
By the way, this is the way to get something done. You've submitted it perfectly. You've done a lot of work here. It's a great suggestion. I'm in support of the idea. I'd like to see it move forward. But if it's something that perhaps it could be handled under variance, I'd look at that as well. So we'll get some information back from staff.
I appreciate that.
Right. I think what Mr. Michaels is referring to is that there are certain referral periods that we have to send this out to state agencies, and I think what he's talking about is in the interim, while that process is pending, perhaps we could look at another way to find this. We'll do both.
That would be wonderful.
Sure.
Yes, Mr. Strasser.
I just want to thank you for bringing it forward. It's an exciting idea, and I'm sure you had plenty of expert help drafting some of this.
Just a little back.
Just a
there.
little.
Well, I want to thank you, too. For a city to have this kind of green space sort of in the heart of it, I think it's not only unusual, I think it's exceptional that we have been able to preserve land like this and then find a use for it that would be beneficial to everybody. So I appreciate you caring for the property, too. It has a long history in the family, and it's nice to see the next generation coming up and others, too. So we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. Further discussion among the council? Then if you'd call the roll, please.
Bob Strasser,
Yes.
Dick Gordon,
Yes.
Chris Corcoran,
Yes.
John Michaels,
Yes.
Karen Blair,
Yes.
Al Densmore,
Yes.
Greg Jones,
Yes.
James Coombs.
Yes.
There are 8 yes votes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
will get to work. At this point, is there anybody else to come forward under this agenda item? Seeing none, then we'll proceed into our consent calendar agenda. This is agenda item 40. Mr. Huddle.
Thank you, Your Honor, Council. And before I proceed with the items on the consent agenda, item 40.7, Council Bill 2011-131, has been pulled administratively, and the item will be brought back to Council at a future date. So I'll now present the items on the consent agenda. 40.1 is Council Bill 2011-125, a resolution reversing the Finance Director's denial and directing issuance of a taxi driver identification card to Robert Gatlin. 40.2 is Council Bill 2011-126, a resolution reversing the Finance Director's denial and directing issuance of a taxi driver identification card to Thomas Cregan. 40.3 is Council Bill 2011-127, an ordinance awarding a contract in the amount of $59,596 to Nielsen Research Laboratories to provide specialized environmental laboratory services for the Regional Water Reclamation Facility through June 30th, 2013. 40.4 is Council Bill 2011-128, an ordinance authorizing exemption from competitive bidding and awarding a contract to Seattle Northwest Securities Corporation to perform financial advisory services on an as-needed basis for the City of Medford for 1 year. 40.5 is Council Bill 2011-129, an ordinance authorizing execution of an intergovernmental agreement in the amount of $3,179.58 with Jackson County to provide support services for the Emergency Services Management Supervising Physician through June 30th, 2012. 40.6 is Council Bill 2011-130, an ordinance authorizing execution of an agreement with the Sante Health Systems for training at Rogue Valley Medical Center for the city's EMTs and paramedics. 40.7 again has been pulled. 40.8 is Council Bill 2011-132, an ordinance authorizing execution of an agreement with YouTube for displaying and archiving city videos. 40.9 is Council Bill 2011-133, an ordinance authorizing execution of an intergovernmental agreement in the amount not to exceed $23,316 with Southern Oregon University, Rogue Valley Television, RVTV, for producer training-related services for 2 years. 40.10 is Council Bill 2011-134, an ordinance authorizing execution of an intergovernmental agreement in an amount not to exceed $63,120 with Southern Oregon University, Rogue Valley Television, RVTV, to provide cable broadcast and media services for 2 years.
Thank you, Mr. Huddle. Entertain a motion to approve of the consent calendar.
Move adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Densmore.
Second.
Second from
Jim Coons.
Jim Coons. Thank you very much. Items to be removed. It's a consistent pattern, Mr. Gordon. That's why I just sort of look your way. So
I know you do. You don't even get the other end of the table.
I don't give him a chance.
40.5, 40.9.
5 and 9.
Yes.
Other items to be removed. Seeing none, we'll proceed to ballot on the remaining consent calendar items. Glenda, if you'd call the roll, please.
Al Dinsmore,
Yes.
James Kuntz,
Yes.
Greg Jones,
Yes.
Dick Gordon,
Yes.
Bob Strasser,
Yes.
Karen Blair,
Yes.
John Michaels,
Yes.
Chris Corcoran.
Yes.
There are 8 yes votes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. We'll go to those items then removed. This is 40.5. Mr. Gordon.
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't have a question on this as much as I do the part that's not here. This is the background and key issues identified, Chief, have more to do with supporting the supervising physicians. But I assume that we pay that physician money too, or that Jackson County does. Can you go over other costs that we're going to have associated with this same item and what those costs are?
Yes. Your Honor, Mr. Gordon, members of the council, the County of Jackson emergency response agencies, medical response agencies, all operate under the license and direction of a contracted emergency physician, and that is Dr. Paul Rosticus. This further breaks down in that Dr. Rosticus has an office at the county where he has support staff who deal with his role as the physician supervisor in the county. So what you see here today is the portion of it that pays for that specific area. There will be another resolution coming forward probably in the next month from Dr. Rosticus, which is our contract specifically with him based on a formula of how the costs are apportioned throughout the county. I don't know specifically how much that is at this point. I hesitate to guess because I will guess wrong. And right now we're waiting for Dr. Rosticus to gather up some additional documentation